As we expect Lane Thomas to be back up with the Nationals any game now, the Nationals have a big decision to make, so who will they move off of?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And later on in today's show, Nationals head down to Atlanta as they face on the Atlanta Braves for a 4-game series. And of course, the Nationals, you got to win a few of these games. But unfortunately for the Braves, Ronald Acuna has torn his ACL once again, so he is now out for the season. We'll have that discussion in the third segment of today's show. It's a terrible move for baseball, obviously, so well wishes for Braves fans and, of course, Ronald Acuna himself. Second segment, it is a Monday. It's a happy Memorial Day Monday, by the way. But we have to get to a Nats stock report. Who's been hot, who's been not, who's been up, and who's been down. We'll discuss that a little bit later on in today's show. And also talk about this Mariners series. But as we said in the cold open today, the Nationals have a big move to make. What are they going to do when Lane Thomas is reinstated from the injured list? And who will they move off of? We'll have that discussion right after I tell you guys about today's show sponsor, which is Game Time. And guys, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. And everybody, the Nationals, we will have the discussion of the Mariners series after we get into today's discussion. Lane Thomas is expected to return here momentarily from the IL after suffering a knee injury on the base path just about a month ago, and there is going to be a big decision to be made. As we sit here today, there are a couple different options in which the Nationals could go for. Number one, probably the most popular one, is to DFA Victor Robles. He has no options left, obviously, at this point, and of course, he has been bad this year. We all know the numbers. We've known the numbers from last year. You've known the numbers all the way since 2020. It has not been pretty for Victor Robles. The other one is to option Joey Meneses. Joey Meneses has been pretty pedestrian so far in 2024. Other than that, there's really not much to go for when you're talking about Joey Meneses. In his case, he's lucky that there's someone named Victor Robles on this roster right now. And then the other one, in my opinion, which may not be all too realistic, but it is. And that's to option Jacob Young, who has been a little bit of an energizer bunny, you could say, for this Nationals offense. He at one point had a very long hitting streak. And of course, the Nationals, they kind of need someone like Jacob Young right now. So what should the Nationals do? Well, I'm here to tell you, no surprises. It's time to move off of Victor Robles. It has been a whale of an experience when it comes to Victor Robles. Starting with what he did back in 2019, obviously being one of the better rookie players in 2019, I thought there was a bright future for Victor Robles. But it just has not worked out. It hasn't worked out in quite some time now. The Nationals, the time to move on is now. Because again, what kind of value does Victor Robles have at this point? Teams like the Yankees in the past have shown trade interest in him for his defense. Yeah, he's solid at times, but also there is so much room for him to grow. And it's been, 5-6 seasons now? He has not grown a single step. In fact, he has taken steps back since his rookie season at the plate, defensively, and all things considered. It has not been good for Victor Robles for quite some time now. And then you go into the season, you hear people talking about Victor Robles having a good spring training. And yes, he always has a good spring training. You've always heard that Victor Robles will have a good spring training. And then once you get to the majors when the games matter, all of a sudden things just don't click. Last year, before he got hurt and was shut down for the entire season, yeah, he was looking a little bit better. But he wasn't doing anything all that great. The impact really wasn't there. So now at this moment in time when Victor Robles is struggling immensely at the plate, he's not really doing all too much defensively. He's not even starting anymore. The time to move on is now. If you think that you can get something for Victor Robles at the trade deadline, you probably can. At this point, having someone like Jacob Young up in the majors is way more valuable than what you'll get in return at the trade deadline if you were to even try to trade away someone like Victor Robles. And even then, if that's the conversation that is being had behind closed doors, saying, well, what if we could trade him instead? A team might want to take a little project here on a former top prospect. No, it's not going to happen. Teams at this point in time, they know what to expect from Victor Robles. There are plenty of other Victor Robles cases out there. And in fact, there are probably a lot better ones that you can maybe try to trade for at the deadline than someone like Robles. It's not going to happen. The dream for this Nationals organization for Victor Robles to turn his career around, it's not going to happen at this point. It's 2024. In a blink of an eye, it was 2019 where we all thought that it was going to be the tandem of Juan Soto and Victor Robles for years to come. But at this point, Victor Robles is out of that equation. And hell, even Juan Soto is. You're not going to get something that meaningful in return to have him just stay in the majors and see what you can do with him. The time to move on from Victor Robles was probably yesterday. But at this point, that's going to be the move. And if it were to be someone, let's say this scenario. If the Nationals decide to option Jacob Young, I will be the first one to scream and yell that is not okay. You cannot do that as of right now. Or if they option Joey Meneses for it, I wouldn't be that upset. But even then, the right decision is to DFA Victor Robles. The time is now. You gotta just move on, unplug it. Let the fan base just have their moment. Because this has been a moment in the making since 2021, probably. We all knew that this was coming eventually. We all saw that Victor Robles was not going to reach his peak potential way back when. The Nationals have still held on hope, but the time to cut that hope is today or tomorrow, whenever they decide that Lane Thomas is ready to roll with the big leaguers yet again. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen. Now let's talk about this Mariners series, as of course, the Nationals, they were so close to a sweep, but yesterday had to happen. Here's the thing. There were some encouraging sides. The Nationals had 5 home runs this series. They went a whole week, without hitting a home run, in which it felt like there. Now you hit 5 home runs this series. You had 3 in game 1 on Friday night. And you had 2 in game 3 in yesterday's contest with C.J. Abrams adding to it. And of course, Eddie Rosario, Keibert Ruiz finally kind of waking up there just a little bit. But the Nationals, they win 2 of 3. I'm not upset about it. Listen, you're going up against a very good Mariners team. And of course, you went up against very good pitching staff as well. As the Nationals, they had Trevor Williams on the bump. He looked really good on Saturday's game. Mackenzie Gore on Friday looked amazing. 7 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 earned run, which was a solo home run. And then Trevor Williams on Saturday again, 5 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 0 walks, and 1 earned run as well. The Nationals, they did their job this series. You win 2 of 3. Now, yesterday, you blow the lead, which is, it's going to happen. And of course, it's Dylan Floro as well, who looked really good on Saturday. And then on Sunday, when you have him back-to-back days, Dylan Floro has been probably the best pitcher in this Nationals bullpen for quite some time now. But Dylan Floro blew the save, whatever. It's a bad loss. But what Dylan Floro has done this year, and that really just the veteran abilities that he has shown so far in 2024, makes it all worth it. It's fine for what he did on Saturday, or on Sunday, rather. And then Jordan Weems as well, who has been sneakily not all too great this season after showing a lot of promise last year and even showing some back in 2022. But Jordan Weems has not been good. It has been a very tough stretch for him. We'll see what the Nationals decide to do. But of course, Nationals winning 2 of 3 against a very good Seattle Mariners team. I'll take that any day of the week. And of course, you'd like to see them bounce back, going up against the Atlanta Braves, maybe win 2 down in Atlanta. But we'll have that preview for you later on. As Nationals, you got some tough sledding ahead of you as you are facing a very good starting rotation. But of course, they are without Ronald Acuna, unfortunately, now with a torn ACL out for the season. But we'll have that preview for you a little bit later on in today's. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So now it's time for a Nat Stock Report. Who's been hot? Who's been not? We will tell you about that after we tell you guys about our very good friends over at Game Time. And guys, Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. And of course, for instance, on Friday night when I was going to see the Nationals take on the Mariners, as you have Mackenzie Gore on the bump. That was such an electric game. I was walking down Half Street there right before center field gate. I didn't have tickets, so I opened up Game Time. 2 clicks away, bam, I had my seats right then and there. Within an instant of 2 minutes, I was waiting in line, see my tickets on Game Time, and they're ready to scan and go in the game. And all you have to do is download the Game Time app. And guys, pick out any specific game or matchup, and you will be able to find a ticket for it. And of course, I love Game Time because they have last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, and of course, one of my favorite features, the images of your seat views. You can see if there's any obstruction. Maybe you're going to Wrigley Field where they have those old posts. Maybe you're at Fenway Park. You can do that as well. And of course, the views from your seats are always incredible. So when you go to Game Time, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So now it is time for a Nat Stock Report. Whose stock has been up? Whose stock has been down? If you're a new listener here, this is where you get your latest individual performances on the Washington Nationals. So we start up with a stock up for Mackenzie Gore. Over his last 4 starts, Mackenzie Gore has been a different animal. If you have been dreaming about Mackenzie Gore being the ace of the staff, these last 4 starts, I think, will give you all the hope in the world. So far, 22 1/3 innings pitch over his last 4 starts, 7 earned runs, 24 strikeouts, and 8 walks in that span as well. Mackenzie Gore's stuff has been electric this year. He has taken the step up that a lot of people, including myself, expected from him this year. This is the ace that the San Diego Padres were expecting when they took him in the top 5 just back in 2017 out of high school. This is the guy that they were expecting, and now the Nationals and the fans, we're starting to get a taste of it. This has been one of the better productions so far of 2024. Mackenzie Gore has looked great. Last year, I thought he looked really good as well. His numbers may not indicate that. As he got deeper into games, he kind of got rocked around. But I think as we've kind of seen him grow this year, as he gets deeper into games, he doesn't get rocked around anymore. He doesn't give up the long ball. Going 7 innings pitch against the Seattle Mariners team, a good one, by the way, and looking really good. This is all stuff that is boding well for the Nationals having the ace of their team already on the staff right now. And not just for a meddling 50-50 ball club. This is for a good ball club. Mackenzie Gore, he could be that guy. He could be your ace of the staff, whichever way you want to look at it as. But Mackenzie Gore has been a very good, very promising aspect of 2024. And in my opinion, he is, it's not even an opinion, it's just a fact. He is the best pitcher that we have in this starting rotation, and it's not even close, even more so than Trevor Williams. So stock up for Mackenzie Gore. He has looked great. Stock down, Nick Senzel. When you have someone like Nick Senzel, who's going to be playing the hot corner, number one, the defense has been fine, but I'm going to need you to hit some power. When you don't have Joey Meneses hitting for power, when you don't have Joey Gallo hitting for power, I'm going to need someone to step up, and that name is Nick Senzel. Over his last 6 games, he's got 3 hits, all singles, 0 power. He's got a 450 OPS in that time as well, and just a lot of weak contact. Here's the thing about Nick Senzel, though, that I can give him some credit for. He puts the ball in play. He hasn't been striking out as much as he once did with the Cincinnati Reds, but Nick Senzel, I need more loud contact. And yes, he has gotten a little bit unlucky at times, but you got power, man. You got to be able to be selective with your pitches. You can't just be swinging at strikes that are not really for you at this point in time. Nick Senzel has been solid at times. The numbers really don't indicate terrible things about him. He's just got like a 701 OPS on the season so far, which is fine. I'll take that. But even then, he's got so much more potential. And a lot of that is just being left to die at this point because he's putting the ball in play, but it's a lot of weak contact. It reminds me a lot of Luis Garcia at times we've seen over the last few seasons where, yeah, he's putting the ball in play. He's not striking out that much, which is always a good thing. But still, I want you to be a little bit more selective on the pitches that you go for. And I think that is when you can see a lot better version of Nick Senzel. So Darnell Coles will have his work cut out for him, but stock down for Nick Senzel. Now we head to the bullpen. So we have a stock up for Hunter Harvey. And over his last 6 appearances, he's got 5 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 5 Ks, 1 walk, and a 167 batting average against. I know people are going to talk about, well, what about last Wednesday's game against the Twins in the 8th? Yes, that was not great. But Hunter Harvey continues to be a lockdown arm. He continues to be one of the staples of this Nationals bullpen, your setup guy of the future maybe. Hunter Harvey has been great. 29 years old. I expect for him to be a hot commodity at the deadline. I expect the Nationals to take a lot of calls on him, as they should, by the way. This has been one of the better, most really prominent bullpen guys the Nationals have had in quite some time, especially when you have someone like Tanner Rainey, who is kind of supposed to be that guy. Having Hunter Harvey stay healthy, number one, has been huge. And number two, having him be in this setup guy role has been massive for this team. A team is going to try to trade for him at the deadline, just like they tried to do at last year's deadline. And he's going to be a hot commodity, as he should be, by the way. He has proven time and time again that he is a reliable arm. You know what you're going to get from him. He's going to pound the zone. He's going to get some strikeouts. He's going to throw 98, 99 miles per hour right by you. And his fastball jumps. And again, Hunter Harvey has been a very good piece, a very just gold piece to this Nationals bullpen over the last few seasons. So that is why he gets a stock up on today's Locked On Nationals stock report. Stock down for, this could be the last time we mention him, Victor Robles. Yes, the time could be now. As we mentioned in the first segment, Victor Robles, and it's not been pretty so far. For his last 23 at-bats in May, he's batting 130, a 222 OBP, a 130 slug, a 353 OPS, and also in that time, he has struck out in 8 of those 23 at-bats. Turn out the lights. The party's over. I'm sorry. Victor Robles, love the guy, World Series champion. He's going to be celebrated when he comes back for the Nationals World Series celebrations for the next 100 years, but the time is not now for Victor Robles. It has not been pretty. The Nationals, it's time to give up on him. I just think the writing is on the wall at this point. I think Victor Robles knows it. It doesn't really seem to be enjoying it that much anymore because I think we all know what is coming when you're talking about Victor Robles. The end of the road is probably coming within the next day or two, if we're just being honest. Maybe even a few hours from now in hell, maybe even right now as I'm recording this said podcast. But it has not been pretty for Victor Robles. It has been this way for quite some time. But over the last month or so, it has been as clear as ever that Victor Robles is not a big league player at this point in time. It has not been pretty. It will probably not be pretty down the road. At this point, it is just not fixable for the Nationals. So stock down for Victor Robles as, again, that could be the last time he shows up on this Nat stock report entering this season. Stock up for one of the more underappreciated Washington Nationals, utility man, Ildemaro Vargas. Ildemaro Vargas, over the last really year and a half since the Nationals have picked him up from the Chicago Cubs, Ildemaro Vargas has been just quietly a good baseball player. Number one, play him at shortstop, second base, third base, and you can even throw him in left field at times, even though it doesn't really look all that great. He can still play there and be decent-ish, I guess you could say. He's passable there. But over his last 6 games, which were only 18 at-bats, he's got 6 hits, 2 doubles, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. And going into 2024, his B-WAR right now is at a 0.9. For a utility player who has played maybe a little bit more than the Nationals have anticipated, but as he continues to get more chances, Ildemaro Vargas proves one thing to us. This guy's here to play ball. And he has been a very good asset for this team. And again, when you're talking about trade pieces, guys like, contending teams out there like the Yankees or the Cubs, they need utility guys. This is going to be a name that will probably get calls on at the deadline as he continues to hit. continues to hit for a little bit of pop as well. He's getting on base. And of course, one of the main things about him, he does not strike out at all. He's got a very good eye at the plate. He takes his walks, doesn't really strike out as much, puts the ball in play. And when you're a utility guy, that is kind of the role that you have to play. That is a very good sign of a good utility player, in my opinion. So now seeing it with Ildemaro Vargas, if you see him starting over at second base or third base, you have to feel pretty good about your chances. Now, I believe in his last 6 games that he has played, the Nationals are 1-5 in it. So I could be wrong on that. I might be, in fact. But at this point in time, Ildemaro Vargas has been a very good utility piece for this Nationals team. And then you need guys like that. You need someone who's going to be in the background, a clubhouse guy as well. You see everyone kind of revolves around him at this point. He kind of reminds me of your Gerardo Parra back in 2019, except a lot better player at that point in time. Just my opinion there. But thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And now we got to preview this series against the Braves, as the Nationals, one of their former top prospects, will be on the bump in one of these games as well. We'll have that preview for you after we tell you guys about our friends over at SupplyHouse. And guys, get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM in order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Now we get ready to preview this Braves Nationals series, as it could be an interesting one, to say the least. You start off with today's game, 4:10 Eastern time. Mitchell Parker against the veteran who is still going out there and still shoving it down every major league team's throat, Charlie Morton. Today at 4:10 Eastern time. Mitchell Parker, every time that I have doubted you, when you had your major league debut against the Los Angeles Dodgers at Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium, I was one saying this is going to be a brutal debut. What an awful way to start this rookie. And then his second start against the Astros, I'm like, another awful debut. He has proven me wrong every time. I'm going to say this is set up for a disaster for him. I'm going to say it. You're going up against a veteran pitcher who's going to keep this Nationals team in check, and really a lackluster offense in which the Nationals are in check. And the Braves, yeah, they just had a big old gut punch, losing Ronald Acuna Jr. yesterday for the season after tearing his ACL. I'm going to say it. Mitchell Parker, this is probably where he gets rocked around just a little bit. It does not really seem right at this point in time. Maybe I'm wrong yet again, but still, that's a tough one. And my opinion, the game of the week is going to be on Tuesday when you have Jake Irvin against Max Fried. Max Fried has had this Nationals team for quite some time. And again, looking at all the Braves offensive metrics, you look at guys like Austin Riley and even Ronald Acuna before he tore his ACL yesterday, they have been struggling, but they still continue to get the job done. They still continue to win games. They still continue to push forward in the NL East. They are the second team behind the Philadelphia Phillies. They're a few games back out of first place. The Braves, I'm not going to say it, that obviously losing Ronald Acuna is huge for their season and everything about it, but Ronald Acuna Jr. was not there for that 2021 World Series run. I am not counting out this Braves team to just give up and roll over, because you've seen it before. They will make a trade for someone at the deadline, whether it's Eddie Rosario or not. They will plug and play, and they will do really good. It's what they do best. That is what the Braves do. They plug and play, they get guys, and they turn them into stars. It's just what they do. On Wednesday, you have Mackenzie Gore and likely, which is a bullpen game for the Braves at this point. They still have yet to announce a starter at this point. But on Thursday, you have Ronaldo Lopez, former Nationals top prospect, back in that Lucas Giolito / Ronaldo Lopez / Dane Dunning for Adam Eaton trade in 2018 or 2017, whichever year that was at that point. Ronaldo Lopez has been very good for this Braves team. When the Braves signed him this offseason, it was kind of surprising that he was going to be a starting pitcher for them. And if you remember, when he was a starting pitcher, it really wasn't all that pretty. But the Braves were like, that's a starting pitcher, and he's going to be in our rotation every 5 days. What has he done? Pitch really well for them. So, of course, the 30-year-old Ronaldo Lopez, one of the former Nationals top prospects, he has been very good for them. And that's what you expect again. But, of course, the Nationals, they have their best pitcher statistically on the bump, which is Trevor Williams in that game. So that's going to be a big must-watch game. But again, I think tomorrow night's game with Jake Irvin going up against Max Fried will be the one to watch. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And happy Memorial Day to all out there. Enjoy your day off. Enjoy it. And watch some baseball as the Nationals take on the Braves at 4:10 p.m. Eastern time. I will catch you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.